Jesse's Jabber with a friendly face. Welcome into your favorite space. If it's on his mind or it's in the air, and you've got a minute, drag up a chair. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Stay a while and join the chat. Jesse's Jabber, Jesse's Jabber. Time goes by, life goes faster. Take a minute just to clear your head. Maybe there's comfort in the words that he says. Going through life with his kids and his wife. Throws in sports and some PS5. No hot takes, he just shoots it straight. Just a regular guy at the end of the day. If you found your way through the endless noise and clatter, listen in, maybe tell a friend. This is Jesse's Jabber.
30 minutes. That's how long I made it after work the other day, before I found myself sitting in an emergency room. Not because of a car wreck, not because of a fight, not because of some crazy accident, not because of anything life-threatening, but because I took a Nerf dart straight to the eyeball. Some of you probably thinking, how hard can a Nerf dart hit? Well, hard enough that I was sitting in the ER, eye half open, water pouring out of it, wondering if the left side of the world would ever come back into focus. But around our house, Nerf wars aren't an event. They're basically a sport. 2 or 3 rounds a day isn't unusual. This past Friday was no different. I come home from work, Maria has some errands to handle, so I'm hanging out with the kids. We pull out the Nerf guns, get set up for another round of fun till supper time. Everybody's fair game. I'm in, big kids, little kids, all of us. Darts flying everywhere. The funny thing about Nerf darts is you can't see where they're going if you're not looking. So when the 8-year-old, only girl, starts shooting the automatic gun with her head turned, darts really are flying everywhere. Then suddenly, whack, right in my wide open eye. I never even saw it coming. There was a collective ooh from the rest of the squad. I grabbed my eye thinking it would be fine. She asked, "Did I shoot you in the eye?" And when an 8-year-old asks that question, you know they're already replaying the last 5 seconds in their head. The 11-year-old grabs my hand immediately, asking if I'm okay. I'm thinking, it will be in just a minute. You know how we all do that thing where we say, let's just give it a minute? Well, a minute turned into 5. 5 turned into 15. And eventually, it became, I think we probably need to go get this looked at. So we head off to the walk-in clinic. They can't do anything for eyes, so they referred us to the ER. It's funny how life works. I spend all day dealing with adult responsibilities, emails, phones, deadlines, work. Then I walked through the door and got taken out by a foam dart. But here's what waiting in an emergency room gives you. Time to think. This is Jesse's Jabber, outnumbered, overstimulated, and on the mic. Let's get into it. You know, sitting in a waiting room, you don't have much to do except replay your day. And somewhere between wondering how a foam dart managed to beat me and wondering how much this emergency room visit is about to cost, I sat there, one eye watering, thinking about something. Have you ever told your kids to do something and they say, okay, head off to do it. Then come back having done something that was never mentioned at all. Maybe you've had to correct the same mistake repeatedly. I heard something the other day about communication that stuck with me. What we're saying may not be what others are hearing. Now, I know kids can have selective hearing, but it made me stop and think, am I being clear? Or am I leaving just enough gray area for them to fill in the blanks on their own? Because there's a very specific kind of bewilderment that happens when you ask for the dishwasher to be emptied, and 20 minutes later, you find them organizing the junk drawer with the total confidence that they've helped. The other day, I sent one of the squad into the kitchen to put something away. The bottom drawer beside the fridge. Clear as day in my mind. A little while later, I walk in, and it's sitting in the fridge. Not near it, not on the counter, in the fridge. On another occasion, I told one of the squad to take a cup from the table downstairs and put it in the kitchen sink. He takes off hyperspeed, like we're on a game clock. Comes back downstairs, holding a gallon jug of sweet tea, and says, "Here, Dad." Now, that wasn't even remotely part of the assignment. And standing there in both of those moments, I had the same thought. Did they do it wrong? Or did I just not say what I actually meant? This isn't just a kid thing. This is a communication thing. And most of the time, when there's a gap between what was said and what actually happens, it can come down to a few things. Sometimes it's a context gap. As adults, we've got years of mental files on how things should look. When we say, clean your room, we mean floor, laundry, trash, don't shove everything into the closet. They hear, clean your room, and think, bed's made, we're good. Sometimes it's just too much at once. We give a full paragraph of instructions, and somewhere around step 3, it all just turns into white noise. They grab the first part, maybe the last part, and freestyle the middle. Sometimes it's precision versus generalization. Turn those games and TV off at a decent hour. Sounds like a perfectly reasonable instruction. Until you realize everybody has a different definition of decent. To one kid, that's 8:30. To another, it's 10. To a teenager, it may just mean before breakfast. But if you say, I want you in bed by 9, there's not much room for debate. One leaves room for interpretation. The other leaves room for accountability. The same thing happens everywhere in life. At work, our boss says, get that report to me as soon as you can. Does that mean today, tomorrow morning, before lunch? Now compare that to I need it in my inbox by 2 this afternoon. That's crystal clear. Sometimes the problem isn't effort. It isn't attitude. It's simply that we weren't specific enough. And if we're being honest, sometimes we're dealing with a full lineup. You've got the literalist. Put this in the bottom drawer by the fridge. He hears bottom drawer and fridge, and somehow concludes the instruction had to be bottom drawer inside the fridge. You laugh because you've seen it happen. They aren't trying to be difficult. Their brain just processes exactly what it hears. And if there are multiple ways to interpret it, they'll somehow find the one we never intended. The improviser. They hear the first few words and think, I got it. We haven't even finished explaining the assignment before they're halfway across the house doing a completely different version of what we asked. We said, take the towels upstairs and put them in the bathroom. They heard, take towels upstairs. Now, the towels are on somebody's bed, and technically, yeah, they're upstairs. Mission accomplished. Sort of. The ghost. This one is looking right at us. We explain everything. They nod. They even say okay. 5 minutes later, they ask, wait, what was I supposed to do again? The instruction never made it past the screen they were staring at. It hit outside of their ears, waved politely, and get right on going. Parents know exactly what I'm talking about. Teachers know. Coaches, bosses, spouses, we all know. Because we've all been on both sides of those conversations. But every now and then, it isn't the literalist. It isn't the improviser. It isn't the ghost. It's just a little radio interference. Because sometimes the communication was never clear to begin with. Same message, different frequency. Part of being a parent, honestly, part of being any kind of leader, is learning how to tune what we're saying so it actually lands the way we think it does. Sometimes we assume people know what we mean because we know what we mean. We assume people see what we see. We assume the details are obvious, but in reality, we skip some steps. We left out some details because we filled in the blanks in our own heads and expected everyone else to have the same picture. Then we get frustrated when the result doesn't match the picture in our head. But maybe the gap isn't effort. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's slowing down just enough to say what we actually mean instead of what makes sense in our own head. Maybe it's defining what done actually looks like. Maybe it's pausing for 2 seconds and saying, hey, just so I know I didn't mumble, what's the plan? Because if they can't say it back, they probably can't do it either. And yeah, it's a little humbling to realize we might be part of the problem, but it's also the only part we have full control over. So this week, I'm trying to be more specific than I think I need to be. Not much, maybe about 10% more specific. I'm also trying the playback method once or twice, defining what done looks like before they ever start, and see if it changes anything. Because bottom drawer by the fridge and put this away apparently don't always land the same way. And if I'm being honest, that one may have been on me. By the end of the night, the doctor told me everything was going to be okay. My eye was scratched, bruised, irritated, but thankfully nothing permanent. After a couple days, it started feeling normal again. And that's a good thing, because if there's one thing I learned, it's that not seeing something coming isn't always about your eyesight. Sometimes it's because we assume everyone else sees the world the way we do. That little Nerf dart wasn't trying to hurt me. My daughter wasn't aiming for my eye. She wasn't being reckless. Well, maybe a little. But she definitely was just 8 years old, turning her head, laughing, pulling the trigger, and having fun. The problem wasn't her heart. It was that she didn't realize where everything was headed. I wonder how many conversations in our homes end the same way. Nobody's trying to be difficult. Nobody's trying to ignore us. Nobody's waking up thinking, how can I misunderstand mom and dad today? Sometimes we're just speaking on one frequency and they're listening on another. Same message, different frequency. Maybe the goal isn't to repeat ourselves louder. Maybe it's to communicate better. Maybe it's slowing down long enough to make sure what we meant is actually what they heard. Because whether you're raising kids, leading employees, coaching a team, or just trying to have a healthy family and marriage, communication isn't always measured by what leaves our mouth. A lot of times it's measured by what arrives in someone else's understanding. And if we can get that part right, we'll probably spend less time correcting, less time getting frustrated, and a whole lot more time connecting. Maybe I should officially retire from competitive Nerf warfare, at least until my eye fully forgives me. Although knowing the squad, I'll probably get ambushed before this episode ever comes out. Thanks for hanging out with me again. If this made you laugh, made you think, or reminded you of somebody who always seems to hear a completely different set of instructions than everyone else, share it with them. Maybe you'll both learn something, or at least have a good laugh. Be kind, be clear, and remember, sometimes the biggest difference isn't the message, it's the frequency. This is Jesse Jabber, outnumbered, overstimulated, and on the mic. Drive safe, hug your people, say what you mean, and we'll talk again soon.